Hi everyone, it's Marilyn, Alauria, and I wanted to do a little intro before you go into today's episode. So this was a little bit of a mishmash of stuff for me. I'm kind of still feeling out Who Can It Be Now, the podcast. Like I'm loving every minute of doing this. And it's still like getting its feet wet, or it's taking shape and form. So in this particular podcast, in this episode, you're going to get a reading at the end. I play a fun little game with you because I play a lot of fun games in Membership for Your Soul. So I'm going to play that game with you. You're going to learn a little bit about automatic writing, and I'm going to read some of my automatic writing to you. I haven't done that in a long time. You'll hear what happens in that. But one of the things, there's a couple of things I say, I'm going to tell you about this, or I'm going to tell you a story about that, or I'm going to tell you about my goals, and I don't get to it. And the reason is it was kind of like a little bit of a channeled podcast because I usually write something before I go in and record. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to see what happens. So hello, that's what you get. I will tell you this much, and I do touch on this a bit in there. So during this process in my life, I have been really very committed to my goals, extremely committed at a whole other level. And through that commitment, I've been gaining more and more clarity, because some of you may be in a period in your life where, look, I really want change. I'm committed to change, but I don't know what that is. You're not alone. A lot of people are going through that in this particular year, 2021. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this. You'll hear me say that too. It's always perfect timing. So what I want you to do is just know that you will get clear, but you have to do the work in order to get clear. So I'm hoping my podcast helps you and brings you more clarity into what it is that you desire. I'm hoping that you don't deny yourself what it is that you truly desire, because a lot of times people deny themselves what they want. And through the different tools and techniques that I teach and the stories, you get more clear about your own goals. I'm getting so much more clear on mine. And after doing this podcast and then listening to a tiny bit of it before it goes into production into your hands, it's already in your hands when you're hearing this. And just looking at other podcasts and getting back into writing classes and creating content and things that I love to do, I get more and more clear about what it is that I want to do in my business and in my life. I love creating. I love sharing. I love teaching. I love teaching in a way that lets you be exponential. So you're learning through your own experience. So if you're listening to this and you're like, she never answered that question. She didn't answer that question. You may have some of that. I didn't listen to the whole thing yet, but we need to get this to production. I apologize for that. I hope that what I did give you and what I have offered up to you in this particular episode does help you to explore your own inner journey, like go on your own inner journey to your heart and your soul, and help you to turn on the lights inside of you and just shine those lights out into the world and continue to create the life from the inside out. You are going to find so much magic in there, so much magic that you can't even imagine because you're just scratching the surface. So enjoy today's episode, and thank you so much for listening to Who Can It Be Now? Because it's really starting to be like, who can it be now? I have no friggin' clue. That might be my tagline. Who can it be now? I have no friggin' clue. I'll see you inside the episode. It's Marilyn, Alauria, and welcome to Who Can It Be Now, the podcast. And today is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit of a mishmash of stuff because, to be honest with you, kind of in one of those places in my life where I don't know where I want to go, but I do know where I want to go. And I'm going to share all of that with you. So this is episode 20, and I am so, proud of myself for committing to 20 episodes and continuing to commit. And we first went to do this podcast. It was going to be conversations with teachers that we have in Membership for Your Soul and students who have graduated from who are still in Membership for Your Soul and have graduated from Soul Finder Academy, and them sharing their stories. Because when we share those in my programs, and I interview different experts around the world, it's really beneficial and helpful for people. But there's something about this podcast that I don't want to bring that into this space right now. So I'm just honoring my feelings, and I'm continuing to work the way that I work with my community in my programs, as well as like when I do Facebook Lives. And a lot of that is kind of as I'm going, I'm sharing and teaching and evolving and growing and all that kind of stuff. So I do know that what we are going to touch on today, we're going to touch on guides, a bit more about guides and who they are and how they can have your back. I'm going to share some stories. We're going to talk about goals and commitment to self. We're going to talk about your first guide, which is your higher self, and how when you commit to yourself and you work with your higher self, things change and what that means. I'm going to talk a little bit about gifts and how you're the instrument. I guess it's all just downloading right now. I asked my guides to come in. I'm like, will you friggin' help me here? I mean, I need you to just come through. So we're going to talk about how you're the instrument and how your gifts work differently and how you can't compare yourself to other people. And we are going to possibly I may read some of my automatic writing. I want to explain what automatic writing is. I'm going to explain to you how I channel and how you can channel. And I'm going to just share a bunch of different things with you. So I think that this will be beneficial for you. It's just not going to follow a through line. It's not going to have a theme. I don't really know what the theme is except mish-mash. I was thinking of that song. Splish Splash. I was thinking of the song Splish Splash. I was taking a bath. All about a Saturday night. Whatever. So that's what this is going to be. I think it'll be beneficial. I hope it'll be humorous, and because we haven't had a lot of that in here. And mainly I'm going to share how important it is to be committed to change in your life and what you can do with all of these tools to help change your life. So as my students know, I like to call them community, not necessarily students, even though they're studying with me. Oh, I have something else for you. I'm going to share a little bit of a reading at the end of this podcast because I play a lot of games in Membership for Your Soul, and we did one this past Friday, and I played a fun reading game. So I'm going to do that with all of you so you could do it. And I know a lot of my members listen to it. So, maybe I'll change it up for you guys so you won't know, even though they played the game last Friday. I'll change it up for you guys. So here we are in February 2021, and maybe you're listening to this at 5 years from now, 2 months from now, a day from now. I don't know. Doesn't matter, because time is not linear. So whenever you listen to this, just trust that your own inner guidance system, your guides, spirit, whatever you believe in, all of the above, is bringing you to this moment so that you can learn something that you need to learn in order to evolve your soul. Many people, they struggle with their psychic abilities or trusting their psychic abilities, or are they really seeing spirit? Are they really hearing some spirit? Or maybe it's even prayer. And the thing that gets in our way is our mind chatter. That's the biggest thing that gets in our way. So I want you to just kind of go on this journey with me, kind of trust what you're getting, and let's do that. Okay. So commitment to self is huge. We are in a time right now where if we are not committed to our dreams and we're not committed to ourselves, things are not going to change. Now, you may be in a period in your life, which this episode will help you with, where you don't know where you want to go, where you don't know where you're headed. I feel like before 2020, I had a really good grasp about future. Time's not linear, but let's talk about future, the way future is. I was a future reader, and what that means is people would sit before me and I would do a reading, and I focus more on future, not on past, and not even a little bit on the present where they were, but mainly on where they could go. Cause I feel like my guides have given me this incredible gift of being able to see the expansion of people's souls and the abilities that they have and where they could go, the potential that they have, right? So I considered myself a future reader, and a lot of times that was confirmed by people coming back to me. I never remember readings. We're going to talk about channeling too, automatic channeling versus the way I channel. I think I already told you that. And people would come back to me and tell me things that happened that were like crazy stuff, right? Like I remember one woman was working in computers or something, and she did something tech. I should really go back to my notes to remember these things. But this I do remember. It was something technical. And I told her in the reading that she was going to be in a commercial. And she told me she left the reading and she was like, that chick's nuts. And like a month later or something, she was able to do calligraphy or some special kind of writing, and they hired her to do a commercial, and she did a commercial, and she was like, I thought you were friggin' nuts. And I've heard this from many people. I remember one client came to me And they would tell me these stories because I wouldn't remember them or remember the readings, right? And she said to me, my sister was trying to get pregnant. All the doctors told her she couldn't get pregnant. And you told me that she was going to get pregnant. And I'll say, I told her what sex it was going to be. Say it was a girl. And she said that her sister did get pregnant and did have a girl, and that they were even writing it down in the medical journals because it was they weren't writing me down in the medical journals. They were writing her getting pregnant down in the medical journals. I'm sure the doctors didn't even know I existed. So I consider that to be future readings, right? There's so many more stories that I have like that. There was one more that came through, but it went away. So we'll see if it comes back. So, but now I feel like we have this blank slate in front of us, and Spirit is like handed this big piece of chalk. There's probably a lot of chalk, right? All different colors. And we get to color it in. What are you doing with your big piece of chalk? And that's the biggest question, right? So even with this podcast right now, I'm like, wow, am I really going to sit down? I tried to start this a couple of times. I'm going to tell you I'm just going to tell you what the frig's going on, because I think it's going to help you. I'm going to share some stories that I think will amuse you and help you too, as well as some teaching moments. But so I sat down to do this podcast, and I started going through all my writing because, okay, I got to go back. I'm in a period of my life where I am ready for big, great change, and I've committed to big, great change, right? So I've been very, very diligent and focused on my goals. And every week I write down on Sunday, I write down all my goals for the week under different categories. And then, every day, every morning when I sit down, I check off what I did and what I didn't do. And it's not a thing like, oh, you suck, you didn't do this, or wow, you're great. I don't have any of that going on. It's just kind of a record keeping thing for me to keep me honest, right? So this weekend, I don't even know what the moment was, but it was like, okay, we need to accelerate this even more. And I think it happened when I couldn't sleep. Whenever you can't sleep and they wake you up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, that's the time when you want to learn, because what's happening is your brain is shutting down the thoughts of, I got to pay this bill. I got to do this. I got to brush the dog. Mike is scratching his ear again. I got to clean out his ear. All that stuff that's in our heads, right? That we have to do. So when we're sleeping and it's the middle of the night, that kind of goes away. And then Spirit wakes us up and is like, woohoo, now's our opportunity. Let's teach them. And so many of you just toss and turn. Don't do that. That's when you want to get up, and you definitely want to have a book by your bed, or you want to go. I find YouTube very helpful for I have a great YouTube channel. You can go there and listen to some of my stuff. But there's so many great people on YouTube. So I'll usually go to my book or to YouTube, wherever Spirit tells me to go, and videos will pop up that are just perfect for me. Oh, look at that. And I'm not even subscribed to a lot of channels, although subscribe to mine. I'm not subscribed to a lot of channels, but these, I guess it's all they're tracking everything I do anyway. So it's coming up. And, first one too, I think it was a Tony Robbins video, and he was talking about if you want change, you've got to up your standards. And I can't remember the word he used, but it was basically you can't just say, I want change. You've got to really commit to that change. It's got to be a whole new thing happening. It's a commitment. It's like you rewrite the story. And he uses the example of somebody who wants to quit smoking. And if the person is saying, yeah, I want to quit smoking. I quit 5 days ago, but I really don't know if I can do it. Then you're not going to quit. But the person who says, I quit smoking, I'm done. I rewrote a new story. I'm never smoking again, which is something I did actually. When I finally decided that was it was I rewrote it. So anyway, I used to be a smoker, so I get it. But the whole point is that I committed to it and I changed it and I didn't do it anymore. So you have to be that committed. And then Spirit took me to a few other things, right? I actually really like Evan Carmichael. I have to tell you, I love the videos he puts out. I think he seems like such a sweet man. I wasn't sure how I felt about him. And then this weekend I was I watched an interview last night with him and Marie Forleo. Didn't know she had the same birthday as me. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I really like him. You want to check out his videos. And so I've been going to different things, and I'm really oh, you got to up the game. There's more that you have to do here. So I'm doing some new things. Now I'm not going to tell you what they are yet. And we'll see how they go, right? But I've got this commitment to self. And part of this is me getting very, very clear about the life I want to live, which we're going to talk about for you. Sometimes it's really hard to commit to change if you don't know where you want to go. And you're waiting until the outside world tells you where to go. And you can't do that. You have to go into the inside world to tell you where to go. So I'm going to read you something from back 2007, 2008. So let me talk about automatic writing. And believe me, it's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, which can happen with me sometimes, this podcast. But trust me, it always summarizes in the end. When I used to do readings for people, that's something I'm going to do for you guys. When I used to do readings for people, I would, I speak really, really fast. I jump around and then I'd say, don't worry, it summarizes in the end. So this is going to be one of those podcasts that summarize in the end. Why I had the aha moment is there's a couple of things I want to share with you guys down the line where I'm going to do a soul session. I do soul sessions where I teach people how to channel. I want to share one of those with you guys. And then I definitely want to share how I read, when I do a group reading session so that, and you'll learn, I'll teach you something in the beginning so you get a reading for yourself. And it'll help you if you want to be a reader too. I think it helps sometimes to hear how other people read. Anyway, I'm going to read you something from that. So automatic writing. Let's talk about automatic writing real quick. Some of you might have just been like, shit, man, I got to hang up on this chick because she's driving me nuts right now. So when I channel, the way it happened for me, I shared this already. I had a guide that was leaning on me. I didn't know it was a guide, and I felt this energy leaning on me. And I was working with a therapist who knew how to work with mediums. And I walked into her office and I said, something's leaning on me. I'm very super, super sensitive. And I just felt like I was leaning over. And she was like, what is it? Close your eyes and tell me what it is. And I closed my eyes and all of a sudden I just started giving her information. I don't have the notes to that first session. I don't remember when I channel. But she was like, okay. And she told me what to do to continue on. So I started working with this guide. His name was Simon, and I loved Simon. Simon looked like a gnome. He didn't like me calling him a gnome, but he looked like a gnome. And I've shared this before, and he did that so that I would find the humor in it. Because if he showed up as something really big, and a lot of times when guides come in, they could be so much unconditional love. They love you so much you can't handle the feeling, right? So he was just this little humorous guy that would walk around and teach me how to channel. So the way that I learned how to channel, and I might have learned this from the therapist, I don't recall where it came from, was I would record it. Because I sit down, I go into a channeling space. I'm a semi-trance channeler. So I'm cognizant, I'm conscious, not cognizant, I'm conscious. But I'm standing in the corner of the room and they're talking through me. There's two ways that I do it. Sometimes I'm in absolute conversation where I'm talking to my guides and I'm saying, hey, what do you think about, that person that I met last week? And they'll be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And they'll answer and it's just all my voice, but it's a vibrational thing and I understand it. So I'll be saying, they said, it's usually, I wish I could, the way it goes, it'll be like, where do you think I should move? And I'll say in the recorder, they are saying that it's not really time for me to know right now. I need to do a few more things to have my soul evolve before I'm really clear on the place that I need to go. They're showing me a lot of green grass. They're showing me flowers. They know that I love spring here where I live in Marin. And they're saying that's the time when I'm going to get really clear about the type of life I want to live and where I want to move. But now is not the time. If I made the decision right now, I wouldn't be making the right decision for my soul because my soul has a few more things that it has to go through. But I'm doing the work. So that's how I channel, right? It just comes right through me and I just answer. So that's one way. And another way is automatic writing. Now, I didn't do automatic writing until I started studying with psychics. And I believe it was Hans King who taught me about automatic writing. And automatic writing is when you sit down and you could do it with a computer or a pen. And I've done it with writing. I've been doing things called active imagination, which I learned in dream class. I'm not going to share about that right now. I'm going to just share automatic writing. So you could do it either pen to paper, or you do it to the computer. And the way that I did it was the way that I channel is I open up my chakras, and chakras are energy centers, and I work with the 7. I know there's many, many more. But those are the ones, because if you don't have the 7 that are clear, it always amazes me. So there's all these other chakras, right? And people are like, well, I'm only interested in the 11 to 22. And I'm like, well, man, if you don't got the first 1 to 7 down, you're fucked. Because you're walking in this earth, especially the first 4. The first chakra is your base chakra. It's at the base of your spine. The second chakra is in your ovaries. That's creativity. First chakra is about belief systems. Second chakra is creativity. These are my chakras. Third one is intuition for me. That's above your navel. Fourth chakra is your heart. Those chakras, like the fourth starts going into the higher vibrational, but the four below, four up, whichever way you want to look at it. If you're not grounded in your chakras and you're not clear in them, you're like, I don't know what you're doing on the earth plane, okay? Because you need to like be grounded in them. And then the throat chakra is, so heart chakra is empathic ability. Fifth chakra is throat, which is hearing, also clairaudience, clear hearing, but also speaking your truth out loud and speaking your truth to yourself, more importantly, than out loud. Third eye chakra, but I also light up the face when I do chakras because so many spiritual people have been hiding. You hide your gifts too. Like people like, I don't know, I think I have this gift. It's fleeting, or they hide it because they're afraid to talk about it, whatever the reason may be. And then the third eye chakra is clairvoyancy, clairseeing, and then the crown chakra connects you to your guides. And then there's these other chakras. So I open up my 7 chakras, and then I call in my guides. I know their names. I don't share their names. It's an intimate relationship for me, and I know where they stand. They each have a special job, pretty much. And then I start communicating. But so when you do automatic writing, you basically do the same thing. And when I was doing it, I only did it a few times and have it recorded because I remember like the 5th time I did it, which I don't have the actual writing of it because something slipped in. Now, I believe in free will. So anything that's a lower level, I call it lower level energy. If that slips in, you ask that mofo to go. Like, I don't put up with any of that crap because when I was first opening up, every Tom, Dick, and Harry would come by my house. And I was like, yo, dude, get the fuck out. And I would literally scream because I didn't know how to control it. I would be at my screen door. I remember once I was opening my back door and there was this guy standing on the other side, dead. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Just leave. You need to go. And I was screaming. I didn't care if my neighbors heard me or anything because I didn't know how to control it. And you're like a lighthouse when you're medium, right? I have a friend who doesn't really know. We've been friends for over 40 years and she really doesn't know what I do, but she has these gifts too. She was the one that was in the haunted house with me, right? So she's got spirits coming by and I keep trying to explain to her, you're a lighthouse. You're a medium. They're going to come by and visit. She's like, I need to know who he is. And I'm like, he's an old neighbor from upstairs, but she won't listen to me. I'm like, he's an old neighbor from upstairs and he's just like visiting. And then you have your grandmother in there and then you have other people, but I have to know who it is. You don't have to know who it is. Just tell it to get the fuck out. If it's bothering you and waking you up, tell it to get out. So that's my belief system, right? Like, I don't let these things come in. I've had something looming in my house, but I think I know what it is. And we're going to go a little into that today. So anyway, I automatic wrote. And so automatic writing is you just allow it to come through. And I'm going to read one of them to you. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it because we were just talking about setting your goals. You've got the chalk in your hand. You've got the blank slate in front of you. And Spirit's like, what are you going to write? What are you going to write? And since I'm reading you something from 2008 or 2007, I don't know which one I'm going to pull up. I just came upon these today. I thought it was fascinating that I think I'm going to read you the first one. So let me find it. I'm actually going to pause this, but you're not going to know I'm pausing this. So I had to pull it up. So I'm going to read you a couple of these, but this is the one from 2007. And the reason why I want to read these is I want to just show you how it works a bit if you want to play with it. But this is what I suggest for anybody who's new to this work. This is what I teach in my programs. I call in, I don't have to do this anymore because I know my guides so well. Actually, I still do it now that I think about it. I call in my guides from the highest light and highest alignment with myself. So when you do that, you're normally calling in the highest light and it's in a reflection of you. But if you're very new to this work and you don't know how to call that in, or you don't know how to call protection in, for the lack of a better word, you want to call in protection. So Archangel Michael is one of the biggest protectors. And yes, there is enough of Archangel Michael to get around. When somebody said to me that a psychic told them that Archangel Michael was too busy to work with them, I literally wanted to find that person and just strangle them. Like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's such a limited consciousness. They have abilities that we have no idea, like how vast. So Archangel Michael can work with all of us at the same time. But he's a very good protector. I use Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, and Archangel Raphael if I have to shut down my house and move energy out, if there's been a seepage and something comes in. But I believe in free will. Nothing's allowed in. It has to leave. But there are times when, yes, there are tears. There's tears in my own self because maybe I'm going through something vulnerable and something seeps in. So when you do automatic writing, when I was doing this, by the 5th time, something seeped in because I never did it this way. And it was a very scary automatic writing session for me. And I was still very new to this work, right? 2007, 2008. I was really just entering in as far as I can recall because I can't remember dates. That was how many years ago? 14 years ago. So that's about right because that's when I started my business about 14, 15 years ago. So something came in and I didn't like it. So I deleted that one because I was like, get out. And I never did automatic writing again. But I do it in a recorder. So what I do now is I usually wear a microphone and I record. And I'm getting ready to share some of those too. So this is all coming to my goals. What are my goals, right? So my higher self is like, you need to be super clear about where you want to go. Because the other night, about a month ago or 2 months ago, I can't remember where I share things, so forgive me, but repetition is good because I do a lot of different lives and everything. But I said to my guides, I've got to get out of this place. And it's not so much where I live. It's just a feeling sometimes in your own life where you're like, I've got to get out of this fucking place. And they said to me, well, if you don't know where you're going, how can we help you get out of there? You've got to get super clear. And they're right. They've been asking me to do a vision book, which is something I teach in Abundant Living with Your Guides. They've been asking me to get super clear about it. And I've been dilly-dallying around. And part of why I'm dilly-dallying around is I have a great life. Like, I have walking trails all over me, near me. So I have a house that's beautiful that looks out at these beautiful trees. I get to walk in nature. I get to play tennis so much. I get to work from home. So it's like, okay, great, but you can have more. So I'm going to read you one of my first automatic writing sessions. I don't remember what was going at the time, but I want to share it with you. So this is it. The energy of that event scares me so. This is them. So you're going to hear the different voices going back and forth, but I'm not going to keep saying this is them, this is me. I'll do it in a little bit in the beginning so you get it. So this is me. The energy of that event scares me so. This is them. Let it go. It was meant to go. Let yourself go. You were meant to go. You hold yourself back in so many ways and you can't do that anymore. This is me. This is them. I know you're scared, but you're protected. You must trust. Then this is me. Who is this talking to me? This is them. Peter. That's one of my guides, so you know his name. Hi. This is me. Hi, I haven't heard from you in a long time. This is him. I know, but when you're physically attached to something, that is my calling to you. I'm always here. Stop worrying about your typing. It'll be easier and the words will flow. And then this is me. Why am I so scared? And then it's him, because you feel things, Marilyn. Always have, and it's scary. But you mustn't be afraid. You want these gifts back, don't you? And I say yes. Then don't be afraid and know that they are okay. You have to keep going forward in your life and you can't let anyone or anything hold you back. The more you do this, the faster you will be able to type. Isn't that a good thing? See, you can read what you typed. It doesn't matter. See, there's a story in there, many stories. Just keep making appointments with us and we will show up for you. We promise. What do you want to write? So as I read this to you guys right now, it brings me to tears because I haven't looked at this stuff in a long time. And what Spirit was showing me this morning is me getting ready to really sit and write the stuff that I want to write and do more podcasts. There's at least 2 more podcasts I want to do. And this is like, I love teaching in my programs. Love, love, love both of them. But I'm getting ready, like I'm making space in my life to do other stuff. So they say to me back in January 14, 2007, what do you want to write? And I say something that touches and inspires people. Great. That is everything. You write now. Believe it. You must believe it. And this is me then. That scared me so, and I'm still a little afraid. They say, don't be. There is nothing to fear except fear itself. And then I say, I never understood what that meant. And this is them. It means you have nothing to fear. Can you go slower? Yes. This is me saying to them, can you go slower? Yes. So I can type it. Okay. So I say, what do you want me to know? And they say that you're okay. Just be the way you are and you can create from this place now. not tomorrow, not yesterday, and not years down the road. Now you are ready. And I'm saying, because I was struggling with automatic writing, I say, I need to feel more comfortable typing. And they say, what else? Remember, you have to write through the crap before you can write the good stuff, which is something really true for those of you who want to write. One of the things that somebody taught me is that you have to write through the crap before you write the good stuff. So that's a very, very small example, but you could see their loving energy coming through, telling me to trust myself and to believe in myself. So I'm going to read you one more. And I'm going to pause. You don't know I'm going to pause. I know I always say that, but I feel like I'm with you all, and I just want you to know what's going on. So this one I'm just going to read out, and hopefully you'll be able to hear the different voices. And apparently I had a dream. So I wrote automatic writing Friday, May 16th, 2008, 8:30 a.m. I'm asking about my dream last night if I had it right. Yes, you had it right. The need is something you need to look into because it has left you with a black hole inside, which is what you try to fill many times over and over again. What is the need? The need is you feeling like you're not enough and never feeling like you are enough in the eyes of men and women. You have to feel like you're enough in your own eyes, and once you do that, things fall into place, and that will no longer be an issue, even in your fantasies about men. You fantasize about men who can fill your needs instead of embrace and enhance what is already there. And I say, you're right. I know. What else do you want to know? Is there anything I'm missing? No. That pretty much says it all. Work on that, recognizing that and understanding how it hits you each day, and you will be fine. And then I ask about the acting because I was still acting at that time. How about the acting portion? Is that correct? And they say, look at it as a service and you will find a different perspective in your career. Now, boy, were they right. It will be wonderful and stress-free, and you will trust a lot more, just like you trusted last night. And I ask, is there anything else? Not really, but please share with me. Not really, but I say, but please share with me anything you want me to know. I find your insights amazing in my life. And they say, there really isn't much right now. Just keep following the path you're on and keep listening to our guidance. We have to work on communicating to you in their method. You have to trust us and know that we have your best interest at heart. Know that we're not going to send you in a direction you don't want to go in. That isn't good for you. We are here to help you. Soon you will be able to do this with your eyes open. You can connect to us anywhere, anytime. Now, guys, I'm reading this kind of real time with all of you, and they're so right. When I was channeling back then, my eyes were closed, and I feel like with the automatic writing at certain times, I noticed that I closed my eyes to try to type. And luckily I know how the keyboard and I know how to type, but they have taught me how to communicate with them with my eyes open. So I'm going to read that part again. Soon you'll be able to do this with your eyes open. You can connect to us anywhere and anytime. So I must have been doing this with my eyes closed. And they said, see, amazing how you don't make errors when you have your eyes closed. Your fingers know exactly where to go and your mind stays out of it. Trust it. This may be how you have to automatic write. What do you want to do? I want to act and write and direct. Then do it all there for you to take. There is nothing stopping you but for a few lessons, and you're choosing to learn them. Just keep learning them. Just keep trusting our guidance, and you will be there before you know it. Don't buy into the ego of it all. Stay true to yourself. So before I go on, what's interesting to me is acting, writing, directing. I have no writing. I have all interest in. Acting and directing for me became about this work to you. Being able to do Facebook Lives, being able to go into my communities live, being able to teach live, being able to share what I'm going to share with all of you later on a reading where you're going to get to play a game with me. That is to me what my acting and directing became. So, I just like them saying trust us and just being on the path led me to where I am today, which is more magical than I could have ever imagined. So I say to them, then do it all for there's nothing stopping you. Okay. Don't buy into the ego of it. Stay true to yourself. And I say, why do I feel empty right now? Because you're trying to fill it with outside things. Try not to do that. Remember all the good in your life that is here right now. Don't focus on things that haven't arrived yet. Focus on the good. Focus on how you feel inside and what you have to be grateful for. Trust us on this. We're here for you. The more you trust us, the more you trust yourself, and the more we can help you move forward in your life. And then I asked, is there anything else? No, but I'd like you to just speak at times. We will. Oh, so this is me. Is there anything else? No, but I would like you to just speak at times. I'm not sure what that is. We will, but we download information as it is needed right now, and you have a chunk to fill, so let that work. But I want to stay connected to you each day. Is that okay? Of course. That is what we want. Thank you. You are welcome. So that's the way it works. And there were 2 more that I did. And eventually, like I said, I'll share some of my channelings as well. But what I want to teach all of you in this moment, whoa, I'm dizzy. That happens too when you connect with them, the vibration, is everything that we need, we have inside of us. And that was like, what, 14, 15, 13, 14 years ago. We're in 2021, right? So if that was 2007, 13, I can't count when I do this work, 14 years ago. It's really important that you get very, very clear about what it is and that you don't look for outside sources to direct where you want to go and what you want to do with your life. We're all gifted, right? Every single one of us is gifted. So when I say you are your own instrument, you want to find how your guides communicate with you and you want to communicate with them. And when I talk about like clear seeing and clear hearing and clear cognizance is a knowing. It's a deep knowing. It's when downloads will just come in and you will know. I can look at someone and know their entire story within a nanosecond. I remember when I realized what this gift was, I was driving in LA and I don't watch the news. I saw a billboard and it was one of those moving billboards and I saw a blip of a news story and I knew the entire story. That's claircognizance. Clairaudience is clear hearing, and claircognizance and clear hearing get confused sometimes. Claircognizance is a download. So it's literally like when they're giving me claircognizant messages, I have to get it out in a linear fashion, whether I'm channeling and recording it. I'll say on the recording, I can't get out what they just gave me. Here's the summary of it. And I'll give a line. Or if I'm doing a reading for someone, I can't give the whole claircognizant message, but I can give a summary of it. Clairaudience is more linear. It's when they actually talk to me like the way they did in that automatic writing, and it's a very linear conversation. So what I mean is it's sentences, it's he went to the store and then he went to another store, it's like that. So it's very linear. Clairvoyance is when we're seeing things, and there's many different ways to see. You can see, and I went through that in earlier podcasts, so go back to that podcast and listen to it. A lot of your gifts are layered, but here's the most important thing. You're the instrument. How you see, how you hear, how you know is going to be very different for you than it may be for another person. I think when we get to the point where we are going to all be able to throw that hologram into the room from our visions, right? Say like we're a bunch of clairvoyants in a room and we're all able to project out into the room that everybody could see the vision in our head. It's going to be different for each and every one of us. The way we interpret color, the way that we interpret just certain visions, it's still based on our filters. And so I don't want you comparing yourself to other readers. I want you to really own your instrument, how you see or how you feel, how you sense, how you know. It's really, really important to you. So one of the things that I want to talk about is your higher self. When you get clear about your vision, about where you want to go, there's a part of you that's already living that experience. So when I've done a lot of higher self work with private clients before I started teaching it in group situations. And I remember some of my private clients, I would take them into a higher self meditation, and I do have one on my YouTube channel, so you can go search it out there. I thought I was going to have time to do that with you guys today, but I'm not. And so when I do a higher self work, when I used to do them with my private clients, I remember one woman, her higher self was a little boy. I was never like, no, it's got to be you, years from now. I'm sorry. It can't be a little boy. I never did stuff like that. I was like, oh, great. Let's go into the higher self, because I could tell energetically and vibrationally that was the higher self. And that's the way the higher self was showing. That was her instrument, right? I didn't tell her instrument that her instrument was wrong. Instead, we worked with it. Sometimes the higher self will show up as an elderly person. A lot of times, sometimes it'll show up as you as a younger person at a younger age, because you held a certain amount of wisdom. I remember when I met my 13-year-old self, and I did this work with this woman, Heather, and we were, I could have went 2 ways, and I could have went to the park or to the church. It was a real turning point in my life. And I didn't go to the church. Instead, I went to the park. And I recognized that my 13-year-old self knew that it would have been better had I gone to the church, because going to the park, I got into drugs, I got into drinking, I just got into a wild lifestyle. Whereas the spiritual part of me really just wanted to go to the church and get into these gifts that I have, this meditation. But because I didn't have, I had so much craziness around me, the crazy acting out took place first. And it was like, get to the park, get to the people. You need people. You don't need the church. So she was very, very wise when I met her. And she is a part of, like, she could represent definitely a higher self. So the easiest way to get into your higher self is to do that meditation that I have on my YouTube channel. And do that meditation or see yourself. I do a thing called a day in the life, and it's where you write out a day in the life a year from now, and then pull that part of you out and start communicating with your higher self every single day. What are you eating? What does your higher self think about your food? Take your higher self to your closet, man. She or he may empty out your closet. If it's anything like me, I was going through my books with my bookkeeper, and, I was like, wow, I don't spend a lot of money on clothes. It was kind of funny. I'm like, ooh, spend a lot of money on dogs and cat food, but that clothes budget's pretty low. So my higher self would rip apart my closet and be like, all right, girl, go out there and buy some clothes. Get some new underwear, will you? Which I will be doing soon. But anyway, so take your higher self with you to everyday activity. Take them to the grocery store. They really will guide you into where you need to be. And that to me is your first guide. And it's an incredible guide because it's a much easier guide for you to envision, to you feel connected to, and for you to trust what you hear. Now, I've heard this question. We just went through the SAS experience, and we are going to be doing another SAS experience. So if you want to learn about that, go to joinsas.com. And I have a great free class, and I believe it's on that page where you could watch that class and get some stuff. But people always ask me, what if I'm making this up? Or somebody asked in that last SAS experience, what's the difference between dream and fantasy? And I was like, oh, that's such a great question. So I'm going to answer this question because you may have the same question. What if I'm making this up? So when I said to my guides, hey, am I making this up? And they said, who cares? We're giving you great advice. And I was like, you're right. Who cares? If it's great advice, and trust me, your guides will never have you harm another person. I went through so many experiences with people hurting me and my guides, and I would go to my guides and they never said, oh, Mary Jo's a bitch. They never do stuff like that. Instead, they teach me what I need to know about the experience and how to have better boundaries and how to maybe speak my truth. But they never say, they may say, hey, don't do business with that person. It's not the best thing for your soul. It's not for the highest for you. But they'll never say anything bad about the person. They just don't do it. They don't speak about souls that way. So your higher self is going to give you advice that is really in alignment with your soul. It's going to feel good. It's going to feel right. Now, I do have to say that some people have slipped through. I don't work with these people anymore, but every now and then a person would come through to me that was, when I used to do readings, really, I would say out of balance. And those are people I can't work with, right? Because you need to be somewhat grounded to work with me. It doesn't mean you're not flying out of your body. I have one of my students in membership, and I would just keep telling her, ground. She's like, I'm so tired of you telling me. And then a post later, like a year later, she'd be like, all right, now I get it. She's great. But it's being grounded. Grounded's a whole other conversation. So when we're mediums, when we're gifted, I'm telling you, a lot of you are gifted. We're empathic. We can't handle the world because it hurts so much. We fly out of our body. Grounding is really important. That's not the kind of ground that I'm talking about. But having a sense of reality, 3D reality, to work with, to me, wanting to work with you, we have to have. Really woo-woo people probably wouldn't come to me to work with me because I'm very practical and grounded in the practicality of the world. We're going to talk about this too, going above the matrix, getting out of the 3D matrix and going above it, and grasping the things that you desire and bringing it down into this experience. That's something that I definitely believe in. But I do believe that we are operating in a certain kind of consciousness here. And although we can have a very elevated consciousness, not in comparison to other people, but an elevated consciousness that's very connected to light and love, but we do have to learn how to live on the earth plane with that consciousness. So your higher self can help you to bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to go. So go check that out. Now, I was going to tell you some stories, but I think this is enough for today.